All right, ladies and gentlemen. So tomorrow you have 11 through 20. Wednesday, 21 through Thursday. 21 through 30. Thursday you have a test, focus, and vocab due. Iran's hard. The words are hard. The little flow chart we're going to go through today is a little tricky, making sure you know the nuances in between. It's just hard, unfortunately. Russia, I think, is a little easier. Their names are a little funky, but it's a pretty straight line, very similar to the U.S., and then China gets really hard again. So we'll figure it out, but you do have to take some ownership of what we are covering. On Friday, where did we leave off, Nick? Your enthusiasm for my content just blows me away every time. Sharia law? Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have the Iranian Revolution in 1979. It is going to put Ayatollah Khomeini in power. How many supreme leaders has Iran had? On your finger, show me. How many, Selena? 2. Okay. We are currently with the head of state under Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei. Are they the same person? They are not, even if they do look awfully similar. They are not, okay? So, we talked about our head of government, which is going to be the president, and this is his current name, okay, as we kind of go through. So, we talked about a unitary state, yes? Okay, we talked about, now I do want to make sure we are absolutely clear on government positions. So skip a space, center it, we're going to write government positions. We're going to break it up into 2 categories, theocratic and democratic. But we're going to start with theocratic. So your first subheading is going to be theocratic. What does theocratic mean, Ethan?
Religious space.
Yes. Okay, so anyone who is under this category is they're a religious person. They are a Shiite, they're Islamic. Okay. You need to write down cleric. A cleric is an Islamic government. Let me try this again. A cleric is an Islamic government official in a theocracy. A cleric is an Islamic government official in a theocracy. So, technically, everyone under this theoretic branch is going to be called clerics. Okay? You have to know that term. If you looked at your vocab and in the textbook, you'll notice clerics like every 15th word. Yes? It's a huge deal. So let's start. The supreme leader is a cleric. Okay, which means they're theoretic. You need to know they are the authoritarian leader of Iran. Write it down. If they're an authoritarian leader, what does that mean, Brennan? They have all the power. They are putting their hands in every pot of government. The direction of the country is being championed by the supreme leader. Okay? You need to know that they are selected from the democratically voted assembly of experts. You need to know that they are selected from the democratically selected assembly of experts, which we'll get to when we get to the democratic side. Okay? Now, the Guardian Council, ladies and gentlemen, is definitely the second most powerful part of Iranian government. You need to know that it has 12 members. Guardian Council. It has 12 members. 6 are selected by the supreme leader. 6 are selected by the judiciary. What's a judiciary, Mr. Clark? Judiciary.
I know what it is, but I just don't know what it's
What's it made up of?
Judges.
Judges in courts. Okay? It's the judicial branch. Okay. So, Put a star. The supreme leader uses the guardian council to do its bidding. Okay? It uses the guardian council to do its bidding politically. Okay. You also need to put a star. This is big. Guardian council selects who can be on the ballot. What does it mean? Who can be on the ballot, Jake? Who can be voted for? Why is that powerful? It means who has the opportunity to have any power within the country. So if they don't like you, Jake, what are they going to do to you? Yeah, they're going to keep you off the ballot, which means you cannot get any political power. So who holds all the political power in Iran? The Guardian Council, who is manipulated by the supreme leader. So you need to write down, they check the morality. They check the morality and reject anyone who challenges the supreme leader. They are the gatekeepers, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to write that down, I think that would be very helpful. They are the gatekeepers of power. Okay. You also need to know the Expendency Council. Okay, the Expendency Council negotiates between the Guardian Council and Parliament. Okay? They are the ones who try to keep balance of power. What do you got? In Parliament. They're the ones who try to keep a balance of power. Who is constantly trying to tilt power towards the supreme leader? Emerson. Which one's trying to always tilt it towards the supreme leader? Guardian Council. The Expendency Council is supposed to continue this illusion of democracy. Because it's supposed to look like a democracy. Is Iran known for its democracy? No, absolutely not. And this is the dance that they play. Okay, so you have three theocratic institutions. In order to be a theocratic institution, everyone in there has to be a what? Sophia? A person of Islam, or they're not just a person of Islam. They can't just be, like, I'm technically a Christian. Not a good one, but I'm technically a Christian. I cannot be in the theocracy because I'm not a cleric. A cleric is like a religious figure. Someone who has a professional calling. Okay, your democratic institutions. That's your next subheading. Your democratic institutions are one that the public vote directly for. Okay, this is one that the public votes directly for. The first one is your Assembly of Religious Experts. The Assembly of Religious Experts. Okay. You need to know there are 86 members. And that they are considered like the most respected people in Iran. Write it down. I'm looking at you, Brennan. Write it down. Okay. So, the Assembly of Religious Experts are 86 members, and they're like the most respected people in Iran. So, if your next door neighbor is like a really, 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 really good person, then you vote for him, and if he gets enough people, he gets to be there. Put a big star. From here, the next supreme leader comes from. Okay, so the Assembly of Religious Experts is where the next supreme leader is coming from. So, there's only been 2 supreme leaders in the history of Iran since 1979. The next one is either sitting in there or will be sitting in there very shortly. I assume they're sitting in there. Okay, waiting. Okay? So, then you have the malls. I don't know how to say it. I have no idea how to say it. You need to know it also is known as parliament. Write it down. The mall is also known as parliament. So sometimes AAP refers to as mall, sometimes it refers to as the Iranian parliament. You need to know both. It has 290 members. All candidates have to be cleared by the Guardian Council. All candidates for parliament have to be cleared by the Guardian Council. Alex, why don't you use your time wisely since I'm here and we're going to talk about it later anyway? Yeah?
Alright.
Cool. So, they are the ones who have to clear each one. Why is that a big deal? Why is that a big deal? Now, this is where one of the illusions of a democracy are. There are 2 components. Desmond. There you go. So, put a big star. This promotes the illusion of democracy. The creation of the parliament promotes the illusion of democracy. And it's an illusion. Why? Why do we use the word illusion, Emily? Well, if we say something promotes an illusion of democracy, what are we trying to say? What do we got? Jordan? Yeah, okay, it's pretending to be a democracy, and there's 2 major ways they do it. 1, by filtering out any challenges to the supreme leader. Okay, so if you, in your life, criticize the supreme leader, what will you never be able to have a position in? Parliament and government at all. Absolutely. Okay, so first thing you need to know, parliament is an illusion of democracy because there is no opposition in parliament. You can't get in if you oppose. Now, today in 2023, would Joe Biden like to kick out everyone in Congress who hates him? Yeah, absolutely. You would start with Kevin McCarthy, okay, and then work his way down. And can you be in Congress and hate Joe Biden, our president? Yeah, literally 51% of the House hates Joe Biden right now. And I'd say about 48% of the Senate hate Joe Biden. Now, in Parliament, 100% of Parliament loves the Supreme Leader and thinks he's doing a great job. Do you think those are real numbers or fake numbers? Yeah, they're fake numbers. No one criticizes the Supreme Leader. He's doing an amazing job. Why do you think that is? Because who will conveniently remove them from power? Who is the group? Guardian Council. Here is the second illusion of power, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? You need to know that the president, okay, has no definitive way to check the power of the supreme leader. There are no checks on the power of the supreme leader. Why are there no checks? So the supreme leader can do whatever they want. Parliament, okay? If Parliament passes the law, say the whole Parliament rebels and passes a law, it is going to be kicked back by the Expediency Council and by the Guardian Council. They'll push it back down or change the law outright. So, can Parliament pass a law that challenges the Supreme Leader? No. They have to go along. They can kind of maybe politically challenge him slightly, but in fact, they cannot do anything that the Supreme Leader opposes because he has 2 powers, the expediency power and the Guardian Council, in order to do it if he just doesn't send his secret police to kill people in the middle of the night. Either or. What do you got? Sure, Brent. So, you need to know Parliament is an illusion of power because it doesn't really exist, but it still keeps going. Why? Someone asked me, why do they keep meeting? if it's an illusion? Why would they keep meeting, Jack?
Continue the illusion of democracy.
Ah, yeah, but why would they keep doing it? Sophia? It gives the legitimacy to the supreme leader and stuff like that, but why would you keep showing up to work if you knew it was kind of an illusion, Desmond?
Because they have to make like some decisions that are just not about the people.
Exactly. There are some fundamental of how spending gets done and other things like that that they do have some say, but they're not going to change the direction of the state. Is everyone clear on that? Okay. So we are talking about the president is your next major one. The president is your head of government. They have very little power in accordance to the UK's head of government. Who is the UK's head of government, David?
Prime Minister.
Prime Minister. The Prime Minister really calls the shot in England. If Biden wants to do a policy with England, does he call the King or the Prime Minister? Prime Minister. It is the opposite here in Iran. If you want to get things done, who do you call? Head of state or head of government? Head of state. The head of government has very little power. Write down, they're pretty much doing the mundane aspects of government. What would be an example of a mundane state of government that our governments do that are pretty boring? Now, shooting down a Chinese spy plane is pretty cool. That's pretty cool. That's not the mundane. So what is something mundane that our government has to do? What do you got, Annie? Taxes. Tax collection is probably the most boring, but that's where all the money comes in, enforcing the laws, doing things like that. That's what the president does because honestly, the supreme leader doesn't want to deal with it. Okay, you need to know that the president selects his cabinet, and it's a he, not a she. Why? Yeah, it's a theocracy, and women have no power in it. Okay? You need to know that they select their cabinet, but it has to be approved by Parliament. What country is this power setup look like? Jimmy, what country does the president get to appoint their own cabinet, but that cabinet doesn't have that much power, but they have to be approved by Parliament?
USA.
There you go. It is the opposite of what country that Parliament is completely selected by the Prime Minister, but has tons of power. Nick, the UK. All right, perfect. So, Democratic, Assembly of Religious Experts, Parliament, and President. Everyone understands their roles? How legislation works is your next subheading. Okay. So, the people vote for Parliament. The people vote for Parliament. Write it down. Parliament passes a law. Guardian Council approves or declines or denies, I guess. Guardian Council approves or denies. If approved, Supreme Leader signs it into law. So, there are technically 3 checks on power against the Parliament. What is one of the checks of power on Parliament? Britt?
The Guardian Council can deny.
There you go. Guardian Council can deny. Give me another one, Ian. What's another check against the Parliament? Supreme Leader can vote it down. And what's the third check? We didn't mention it. Desmond. There's also a flow chart. You could look at my flow chart. Expenditure Council can interfere and kind of shut down things if it doesn't like it. Okay. If Parliament passes a law that is not popular, write it down. If Parliament passes a law that challenges the Supreme Leader, Expenditure and Guardian Council have the authority to change it. If Parliament passes a law that challenges the Supreme Leader, the Expenditure and the Guardian Council can change it. Not shoot it down, but they can literally change it, which is wild. This is one of the reasons why it's an illusion of power. If they can just pass their own laws and not get approved by Parliament, is it truly a democracy? No, of course not. Because it's not a democracy, it's an authoritarian government. Here we go. Okay. So here are our two supreme leaders. They're not the same person. They are not the same person. This is what their parliament building looks like. Isn't that cool? Miss Bennett. Hi. I know. How are you? Sure. Who? That's fine. Can you just put a note in my box to remind me tomorrow? No, that's fine. That's fine. Alright, no problem. Okay, so this is, now what is the name of the capital city of Iran? I taught you this. What is it, Ford? Help him out, Luke.
Tehran.
Tehran. So this is in the capital city of Tehran. That they have their parliament. Of course, that's where our Congress is as well. This is what the outside looks like. Okay. This is in Tehran as well. You will see that there are women wearing burqas and head wraps. Now, someone asked me, well, why isn't everyone in these photos, and I'll show you more in a sec, why aren't they all wearing burqas? What's a burqa? What's a burqa? Desmond? Yes. Women are in a burqa. Women are completely covered except for their eyes. Have you ever seen them? They're wearing like the really flowy covering. You can't really see their arms or anything, and the only thing you can see is their eyes. That's a burqa. Depending on what sect of Islam you are, dictates if you have to wear a burqa versus what's the covering of just the hair? Hijab. And there are different types of stylings of hijab. Like for instance, she has a loose one. Okay, some can't show any hair. The difference in coverings dictate what sect you're part of. So not all women in Iran are wearing full burqas, but women of a particular sect of Islam are all wearing burqas. But every woman in Iran has to cover their hair in some way, whether like even newspaper, reporters and stuff like that, they typically wear just like a scarf over their head just to show respect to the religious kind of component. Okay, here's some of the structures and tourist attractions of Iran. Now, as Americans, can we go? No, we're not actually allowed to unless you get a permission from the U.S. government. Like, it's just not something you can kind of casually go. There's actually a couple countries on that list. What's another country you can't just casually go as an American? You can go to Saudi Arabia. That's where Dubai is. What do you got? North Korea. You can't just be like, oh my God, guys, I totally need a getaway. I'm going to go to North Korea. That's not how that works. It's easier to get into Iran than it is into North Korea, so that should make you feel better, but it is different. I think it's really beautiful. Okay, now this is a bazaar. Okay, it's an actual term. Bazaar, write it down. This is kind of part of the cultural component. You do need to know the capital city of Tehran. You do need to know the term bazaar. What is a bazaar? What is it? Jimmy? It's not like, well, how is it different than a supermarket? Help them out. Ethan? It's not, it's usually in a big square. This is like the traditional way people used to go and buy stuff, okay? Pre-European rise into dominance. With that being said, it is all vendors collect themselves in one part, and they all have small stalls. So you can walk down one aisle and you can see bread, you can see honey, you can see cheese, you can see flowers. Has anyone here ever been to Penn Station in Philadelphia? Okay, it's kind of like that. How there's one stall for this, the next stall is something totally different. That's a bazaar. Like, this is the cultural heartbeat of Iran. it ties back to the Silk Road days. Okay? If you go to the Middle East, bazaars are like where you go and like see all of like the cultural significance and icons. And this is Tehran. Someone asked me if it was like a modern city. Yeah, dude. Yes. Someone asked me if they were like, do they have electricity? What? Yes, it does. Okay? And you can see the mountains in the background. Isn't it gorgeous? Not so friendly for Americans, but really beautiful. There you go. All right. So, type of government. Here we go. You need to know. You're going to write down this whole little blurb. Okay. It is considered an authoritarian regime. As Brennan told us, an authoritarian regime is when one person controls all the power. In Iran, Brooklyn, who is that one person? I don't need you to tell me his exact name, but what's his title?
The Supreme Leader?
Yes, the Supreme Leader is the authoritarian leader of Iran. Okay? There's also a mandate of Shia Islam, which is a sect of Islam. And what do they believe? We've talked about this before. David, what do Shiites believe?
The leader has to be a descendant from the
And why is that unique? Why is that special? Why is that special? You're completely correct. What you said is absolutely correct. But why is that unique? Is it the minority or the majority? It's the minority. Ladies and gentlemen, you have to understand it's the minority, and that makes it really, really unique. Okay? So, you need to know that both the president and the supreme leader have to be Shiite Muslim. It's by their constitution. Okay? Their constitution dictates that both the supreme leader and the president have to be Shiite because their government is a what, Katie? Theocracy, yes. All these things are kind of tying together. Because it's a theocracy, the two highest positions in the government have to be a part of the religion. Okay. Now, Sunni versus Shiite is your next subheading. You have to understand that this is a huge deal. Now, has there been conflicts between Catholics and Protestants? Yes, of course there is. The 30-Year War, the fact that most of Latin America are Christians and Catholics specifically, all of that is tied to the 30 Years' War, Protestant Reformation, all of that started the 30 Years' War, which will lead to the IRA in Ireland. Yes? Hello? Okay.